I could spread seed, disc it in with my Groundhog Max, which is not hooked up right now, but um, I could put that on really light, the Groundhog Max, really high up. And I could be spraying 3 cal right here with this sprayer. This will never clog. There's no nozzle to clog. It just comes straight out. Hits this and spreads about 13 feet. So that's how you save time. And I can run my trapping stuff out of here. I can run it all year long with the 5-gallon buckets and the 5-gallon sprayer. The 5.5-gallon sprayer from Tractor Supply buckets are important because you could shake them up. You can get the 3 cal liquid lime out of there. You can just unscrew this and screw it on another one, so you can run 15 gallons here, and you're not taking your sprayer on and off. You should never be taking your sprayer on and off. You should just have the 15 or the 5.5-gallon there. And then if you really want over 30 gallons, you run 3 back there and 3 up here. Those 5.5-gallon jugs from Tractor Supply for what, 20, 25 bucks a jug. And you'll never have them leak. You'll never have a problem. You don't have any filters, and you're never gonna have any problem. You never have to recirculate anything. You never have to calibrate anything, because your 1 gallon per minute sprayer with 1 inlet and 1 output is perfect. No filters, nothing. 20 to 30 bucks. And for what we do, this is better than I've had $500 and $600 pumps. I've run all these types of products. There's no reason to be using that type of stuff for food plotting. Another thing you can do if you like your Packer Max, which I prefer a jet sled with the winter rye in it for my cultipacker, because I already got the jet sled out there, and just drag your jet sled behind, or a yard roller. But if you're running the Packer Max, you can just pump your water right here with this pump from Harbor Freight. You can pump water right into the Packer Max or your roller, and you can put water right in your roller, right from the swamp, anywhere that you're at. And you can run glyphosate. Just some people say it neutralizes it. I haven't had a problem like that. I've run glyphosate, 2,4-D, with water right out of the swamp, and had good luck. But some people don't. So look at the winter rye. It's growing in here. That's growing. Look at that. It'll turn yellow though. The roots won't take, and you have to replant it every couple weeks during the hunting season. So, go blow the dead leaves off it. That's the key. I run close to 100 food plots, and this is how I do it. I do it with this, not my air-conditioned tractor. So I'd like to be in it right now. The mosquitoes are crazy. Well, I better get over there and spread the seed. I hope that helps somebody. Anybody could do this. You can make one of these yourself and change everything for you, make everything way more convenient, effective, and everything if you set it up like this. There's 156-pound bag of winter rye, a 100-pound spreader will fit 56 pounds of winter rye. 56-pound bag of winter rye. It'll fit a 50-pound bag of oats, because oats are actually bigger than rye. So you need a 100-pound spreader like this, and you want it right on the front, because you don't want any trailers. You don't want to tow anything. You want your spreader on your front, your sprayer on your back. I'm going to say again, spreader in the front, sprayer in the back. I'd say business on the front, party on the back, like a mullet, but I don't know if that's applicable. Might be the reverse of that, so let me know in the comments if I got the mullet backwards or forwards, or I got it correct. But you gotta have your spreader on the front, sprayer on the back. You wouldn't want your sprayer on the front. I wouldn't. But a lot of guys, they'll take their sprayer off and then they'll put their spreader on. That's just silly. They should be on at all times. You should be ready to go at all times. I'm so busy with the archery and different jobs and different small businesses that I don't have time to mess around. And as I pick up parcels, I really don't have time to mess around, and I can't afford to hire people with tractors to go out there and they'll put the food plots in all the wrong places and do a lot of ignorant food plotting. It's not gonna help. It's not gonna help you. You got to do it yourself with a quad, and then get the tractor after. Get the quad first. I think I picked this quad up off Facebook Marketplace for right around $3,000, and I picked that quad up over there I think for $1,800, and that one I did drop $5,000 on that quad, just because I wanted a good carbureted Grizzly 660. So, but for they're all good. I'm not brand loyal, but for work, the Honda is Honda solid axle is pretty good because you can really optimize it for work and for your Groundhog Max. And here I'm gonna run out of daylight again. Do this for a couple months in between doing the archery and arrows and the broadheads and small business, and probably work about 120 hours a week. So set yourself up with a nice quad right there so you can get a lot of work done, because otherwise it ain't gonna happen for you. You're talking about the day you're gonna do food plotting and then you put in one food plot or 3 food plots or something. I got over 100 food plots because I want to burn out my stand, and most of the beginning of hunt season, though, I'll be hunting on state game land or public, so I don't burn these out. So I'll show you the best I can how I got this wired up. So on the Hondas, the battery's in the back. It's gonna be different for each quad. That's why you gotta kind of just use common sense. You can put one of these together. It's simple as heck. So this comes off. There's your battery, and I got it hardwired right in there for the pump. And then if I want to run the transfer pump, I just change the plug. I unplug it and plug it back in like your regular Femco sprayer, into a different, instead of having 3 hookups at all times, because I don't use that transfer pump much. And then the other one's for the buyer spreader, and they go to a fuse. And they're all twist tied up in there, and they got your on off right there, so you can undo it, and then they go right down here, right down up to that spreader, and the other one obviously goes to the back to the pumps, and I run them up to the switch and then back down through, and here's the on off switch. There's the pump. There's the spreader. There you go. And then if you want to run, shut that off. You can't run these both at the same time. You're just gonna unplug this right here with this plug and plug this one in for this pump. You don't need the water transfer pump. It's just really nice if you want to put water in your Packer Max or roller, or I like putting in glyphosate or 2,4-D. I've never had a problem with the mud, but a lot of food plotters will say that it neutralizes the glyphosate, and if they say that, then I just have to be cautioned about that. But because I'm sure they know. So I've never had any trouble with it, but I just hate to have somebody go out there and waste a bunch of glyphosate with $1 dying, and glyphosate's like doubled in price here. So but I always run it in one swamp on one parcel, and I never had any problems. But maybe that water's really clean, so that's how it's wired up, and that's how I do it. It runs right there. Here's this little loom you buy, to help, and then they're already coated. But I have melted my Femco 25-gallon sprayer. I've melted that wire so many times, and I chased electrical things and fuses and screens, and nothing against Femco. It's not Femco specific, but all the could be County Line or whatever Tractor Supply brand. It could be any of them. The way they're made, they're not made for food plotting. Do you ever notice that? Those sprayers, they're never made for food plotting. They're made for Seems like everything other than food plotting. They're great for your lawn. You're better off with an older quad. That one's fuel injected, but preferably carbureted. Solid axle's nice for the Groundhog Max. And we'll see if this ATV system can outbeat my tractor. There's my tractor. And quarter 20, just go get quarter 20 hardware, all different lengths. You figure it out, it's easy. Nylock nuts so it don't rattle loose with your ATV. And then milk crates. Most everything's like $8, $20. Those are 10-foot long in the electrical section at Home Depot and Lowe's, those metal pieces, fender washers. You cut the metal piece with a chop saw and screw them to your milk crates. Just drill holes right through the plastic milk crates. Put that Schedule 40 pipe, 4-inch Schedule 40, makes it really tough. Your pump's only going to be $20 to $30. So, and then same with your jogs in this system. Got the boominator hooked up, 13 foot. And here you see it with the Schedule 40 and the spreader in the front. This is something that you might want to run. It's just $10, one of these thumb buddies. You just put it on with zip ties. And I leave them uncut. But you could cut them too. I just leave them uncut. I like to leave them uncut. And then make sure you bend it way around, because if it sticks out, your right leg will hit it. That's not good. But if you bend it way around, then you can use any part of your hand. And what this will help you with, if you're spraying glyphosate, you're trying to keep a constant speed, it gives you a lot more throttle control. And same with that Groundhog Max. Otherwise, your thumb will feel like it'll go numb just about from spraying a lot or running the Groundhog Max a lot. And even with gloves on, your hands will freeze against your throttle linkage. And this is coated, so it'll keep your hands warm when you're trapping or ice fishing or running your quad in cold weather. But the main thing is the Groundhog Max and the spraying of glyphosate. Even if you got a 25-gallon tank or 15-gallon tank, you get a lot of your thumb will get fatigued, but it's also helps you keep the same speed for your spraying of glyphosate or 2,4-D or clefidem or liquid fertilizer, liquid lime, whatever you're wanting to spray. So there you go. Yeah, and the 5.5-gallon jugs and the boominator style nozzleless nozzle, they're pretty important. And you don't have the stress of you're chasing your drain plug or anything. There's no drain plug in these 5.5-gallon jugs. You can shake them up, you can take them out, and you can leave your sprayer on all year. This is my field to swamp food plotting machine. Anybody could build these with milk crates. These metal DIY. I wish I had links for y'all, but I don't really do social media or advertising or the archery industry or modern life. I'd rather be out here really doing stuff than on a computer constantly putting out content. I think if I could hire somebody, I'd hire somebody just to do that. That's probably more important than the actual products. But most stuff that's really worth anything, from stonework to building a really nice garage, you kind of got to do it yourself. You could even build really good footed arrows yourself if you put the time into it, several hours into it, making them internally, externally footed and everything else. So I got them steel footed arrows that you can build, arrow shafts you could build yourself, but you could build one of these if you wanted. And I do have an enclosed cab tractor, but for most of the food plots, this is the way to go. Again, it's just milk crates, Schedule 40 pipe, hold my hose. I could pump out of the swamp if I need water, because it's real heavy to carry water back into a swamp. It's just a pump from Harbor Freight, like $60 pump from Harbor Freight, and I can just plug it right in and pump out the swamp. This is $22. You want a 1 gallon per minute pump. Maybe a 2, but I'd shy away from a 2. I just a cheap 1 gallon per minute pump with 1 intake, 1 output. They're like $22 on Amazon or Runnings, and this is like $10. Just the 3/8 inch splitter, so I can have the gun part, spray gun. But you don't need that. You just need this boom, 1 nozzle. You don't. I got a real expensive Fimco 25 gallon with the boom. You don't want that for food plotting. We're food plotting, not farming. I just got 1 nozzle, spreads like 13 feet, it's like a Boominator. I don't know the brand, but it's like a Boominator, boomless nozzle. I can fit 100cc chainsaws in here, 30-inch bars. This is just Schedule 44-inch pipe. Put in your oven for 350, and then put a piece of OSB in there and then smash it down. Or you could do it with a heat gun too, and way stronger than anything you could buy. I can carry around. I got 1 quad set up for firewood cutting. I can carry a bunch of chainsaws. This one only carries 2. I always want to have it so I can carry 2 if I need to into the swamp. Here, this parcel is mostly scrub brush. I got sun and shade. See how that's in the shade? That solar panel. I've never changed them. They're over a year old, so that's nice. I got other parcels though with a cutty link. I run batteries, dual power banks, and I'll put a couple 100 pounds of batteries in here. With a cutty link, it's nice. You're only running $16 a month per parcel for 20-some cameras. So got a camera there too. Most people call this a kill plot. There's an apple tree, a ladder stand, bunch of travel, access travel corridors. This is about the right size, about half a tennis court. I got some bigger food plots, but to me, they just put pressure on the deer. I got like a dozen food plots on this parcel, and the cameras will tell you where to hunt. I try to hunt this place 2 or 3 sits a year. Just let them marinate, and try to keep people off them. But it's so much work, and getting out lime and spreading lime and thousands of pounds of lime. And I caught somebody with a snack up in that tree stand and a deer wick over here. And so the DEC's looking for them. I got a reward out, $1,000 reward if it leading to their conviction in jail, because you break your back out here doing this stuff, even with the machinery, and people just trespass. You spend thousands of dollars on property tax, and people just trespass. So they should go to jail. You work hard. If you do food plotting and you work hard on your food plotting and your parcels, maybe treat yourself to something like this. This is better than my tractor. I like being in the air-conditioned big tractor, but I can do more food plotting with this than my tractor by far. And this is cheaper than an implement. You know, if you get into 8-foot implements, I usually run 8-foot implements on my tractor. An implement costs more than a quad and this stuff. There's a $150, $160 spreader. You can spread winter rye, pelletized lime, fertilizer. I got it, so it's all disconnected with an amp. It can be disconnected. You run an amp there, 15 amp fuse. There it is, turned on. Make sure you shut it off so you don't kill your battery. Here's a sprayer. Yeah, that spray's a pretty good spray. Right over there. I'm not gonna go film over there because I don't got my mask on. I got glyphosate in there. Glyphosate is important. Groundhog Max. I run a Groundhog Max. 21 inch is all that does. Groundhog wide, but the Groundhog Max would do this quicker than my. I got a Mahindra 6065 enclosed cab. It's like 75 horsepower tractor. You know, heavy, a lot heavier than a John Deere Kubota. It's like Case New Holland heavyweight ag type tractor. And I could do this food plot quicker with a Groundhog Max than with my tractor. Even though my tractor I'd be in air conditioning. So if you're gonna have just one thing, go with a quad off Facebook Marketplace, you know, with a solid axle, 4-wheel drive solid axle, because the Groundhog Max works on any quad if you can get it, hooked up to it. But the solid axle is really nice with that Groundhog Max, because at all times it's pushing down, and if you hit a rock it goes up, and it's always articulating, the Groundhog Maxes, and it just will tear this right apart. So yeah, the sprayer and the Groundhog Max are real important. If you get stuck, you can dump these off. You open this up so you don't collapse the jug. There's just a hose inside a hose. I don't know, I should have done a tutorial or whatever, but with parts and everything, but this is just research and development type stuff we do. I do this with broadheads and arrows. Probably do it with 5 or 10 broadheads, 5 or 10 arrows. I do it with them, and they never come to market. The only way a broadhead or arrow comes to market, if it'll knock off something off the top of the mountain for North America game or Africa game. Obviously that 600 grain scientific method is still the best for buffalo, elephant, but for a North American game, that Jumbo 3, even with my little shrew bow, my little hybrid longbows, and my ASL longbows, you get pass-throughs with that, big 315 grain, and with crossbows, and you get the pass-through, and you're cutting across 3 planes. So, and none of the downsides of expandable broadheads. So, to me, we're just gonna put out the best that we can. So same with this. I developed this. I'm not gonna sell something like this. You can just put this together yourself. It just takes an insane amount of time and fabricating for each quad, so it's not cheesy. If you just put out a product for everybody just to bolt on their quad, it'd be kind of wimpy and stuff, because a lot of this is tied back to the metal rack, tied back to the frame, and you gotta really get them in there secure. Use radiator clamps, because last thing you want is this thing falling off or that thing falling off. 5-gallon buckets with your trapping stuff. Take your 5-gallon buckets out, put your game camera stuff in another 5-gallon, put it in the 5-gallon buckets. If you want to take extra liquid, you can fill up 3 more 5.5-gallon tanks right there on the front. So and then with this transfer pump, like I say, you can $60 for a transfer pump. When I go in the swamp in the one parcel, I don't even bring water, because it's too heavy, too much. And if you get stuck with this, it's a small enough quad, you can kind of get it out. You don't need a super big quad, even though I wish these had a little bit bigger tires and a locking differential. But this is just kind of Honda's has made the same type quad for years. But yeah, if you can, if this helps you, that'll make me happy. So leave it in the comments if this is something that helps you, or if you got any questions. And no need to buy nothing here from me. We're gonna produce something like this, and to me it's not worth all the legal cost and the cost of doing business in a state like New York or California. It's not worth putting something out here. So I hope somebody else can build these for yourselves. Build one of these for yourself. Let me know what you like to do with your quad for food plotting. I own both. The quad's way better than the tractor for actually food plotting where it matters. Anybody can take a tractor out there and put a food plot next to an ag field or by road frontage. Your food plot's got to be in the swamp. And run winter rye, run brassicas, run a leaf blower. Leaf blower is so important. If you don't run a leaf blower, your food plots will fail. Just to show you the power of winter rye, it'll grow anywhere. And right on the swing arm, you can see it's real green right there. And even during the hunting season though, you want to bring out winter rye every couple weeks and seed it every 2 weeks. October 1st, October 15th, November 1st, November 15th, because it'll germinate if it's above 33 or 37 degrees. It'll germinate, but you got to keep seeding it, because this winter rye is real green on the swing arm, which is amazing, right? But it won't take a root structure and it'll turn yellow and die and fall over and die. Same thing if you plant winter rye in the woods, it'll do the same thing. It'll look great for a couple weeks and it'll yellow and die. And if it takes and the deer aren't eating it, it'll stem out and get real long. You want it to look about like that from the deer eating it. But right during the hunting season, you got to go out there with your leaf blower, blow all the dead leaves off, and spread your winter rye. And you come back 2 or 3 days later and they'll sprout up just like that. So don't stop planting your winter rye right during the hunting season, and go in there and make a racket, disturb all the security cover, disturb the place, run your leaf blower, blow your leaf blower all over the place, get the dead leaves off your winter rye or whatever you're trying to grow out in the woods, and then add seed to it. If you don't do that, the dead leaves will smother whatever you're growing out in the woods. So a leaf blower is probably the most important thing you could have. A leaf blower and winter rye. And I'd say a quad with a nice sprayer like this would probably be, because you could do no-till with just this little sprayer, and you can do a no-till program with no-tilling. Hope that helps somebody. Now I got this in tree stand mode with the straps in the 5-gallon buckets, straps, and bow holders, whatever you need, stuff for the cameras, and then running a couple of quads and just running these jet sleds to run these stands around with these jet sleds. So my windshield, and I got this pole saw right there. So you should have these quads set up where you can do a lot of different things with them, and the key is the 5-gallon buckets, and the 5-gallon jugs. Then when you're not using your spreader, you can put your lunch in there. You can put your rubber boots in there, your hip waders in there. And then I can move my lunch into a bucket with a cover if it starts raining. The best thing with the covers, the lids, the 5-gallon bucket lids, or 7-gallon bucket lids, is when you load your quad up onto your pickup truck, you have to either take everything out if you're not using buckets. And I'd say, I'll just put a couple things in there, I won't use a bucket, and then I'd have a milk crate just filled with junk. So you're trying to load up your quad and get out of there with your truck, but you can't because you're messing around with your crates. Then you go to buckets, that's the next step. But buckets without lids, and you think they're great. Well, the problem with that is when you go to load this up on your truck, then I got mesh and bungee cords and like spider web bungee cords to put across so I can blow down the highway with my truck and not waste time taking everything out. Well, if you got the lids, you just put the lids on so stuff don't fly all over, and you get the lids on real good, and you can load this quad up on your pickup truck and take right off. It's good to have a pickup truck and a quad when you got different parcels, unless you're a billionaire or something, because putting food plots where a tractor will go is not going to help you maximize what you could do, and you can get a lot done with the quad. But that's how I use the lids. So you're putting this stand, setting this stand, another one here. I got this quad set up now for tree stands. You just change out your 5-gallon buckets, and the lids are important. I learned about 5-gallon buckets from that Samco Tradbo and Jason Samkoviak, traditional bow hunting and wilderness podcast. And I ran them for a while, but I'd run the buckets without the lids. The lids are important because they'll keep them waterproof. And you can just swap out buckets, 5 and 7-gallon buckets. And don't do it like that. Don't have her climb the tree to get your straps up there.
Mom, how will you get down?
So, but you can run these quads, and then you always want to take 2 chainsaws with you. And you can run the chainsaws on there too with a Schedule 40. Yeah, no matter how efficient you got it set up, you always run out of daylight. So Imagine if you don't have it set up efficient. Well, the people that have their quad set up efficient can do more food plots than somebody with a tractor could do. But they can do some more food plots than somebody with a quad could do. If you own 2 or 3 parcels, I don't think you could really keep up with them that good unless you get really efficient. So getting efficient is important because your time is so valuable. You still plan on spending, you know, every single weekend, nights, you know, in addition to doing the archery business, in addition to doing full-time jobs, you gotta still go like crazy. You know, 40 hours a week almost doing this stuff if you own your own property. Otherwise, I hunt state game land, but otherwise just hunt state game land, because can you imagine all the scouting you could be doing? And believe it or not, the easiest deer come in the state game land, because this here is just manual labor. I got to put it in 4x4. Yeah, they got through. I just had to put it in 4x4 right here too. I wasn't sure if they got through, but they got through. So I guess what I'm saying is there's no easy way out. You still got to work your butt off, and you're still going to run out of sunlight every day. And you got to wake up before the sun, leave the sun up, and when the sun goes down, still be working. Go to your day job, work on I work on the broadheads, the arrows, but I work on the food plots too, work on all that stuff. And even if you live to be 100 years, it's time to sleep when you're dead. And here's how I change these. Just take this one off, take this off, just put her in. I'm doing it one-handed right there. And get you a good mask, you know, that's it. Don't put these with the swing arm. Put your receiver for your Groundhog Max parallel with the ground. No way you get a tractor in here down in the swamp now, and the glyphosate in the little 5-gallon buckets we can get buried. You can take them off and help yourself get out. And then the smaller quads are nice because you can get those out and to move these tree stands, because all the trees just fall down and die. It's so thick in here, they just it's so muddy, the soil, they just get like that, fall down. But with enough lime and a lot of work right here, elbow grease, you can't even really use the Groundhog Max right here. You just use the sprayer with the spray gun. Here I'm just spreading the lime. It's important you get a jet sled like this, or an otter sled, and then you got a 2-inch ball up here on top of my Groundhog Max, so I can just, that's how I couple it. I'll couple it, and you can use any kind of hose right there to help you with your jet sled when you're using it by hand. But you can put 200-300 pounds of lime in there, and then it's just back-breaking work, you know, even with the quad. But a tractor, you spread the lime. A tractor's not going to help you out here, you know, where there's an understory and down lower in the swamp. A tractor's not going to help you. It's not going to get where you want to get. You know, I think I have 20-some food plots on here, on this parcel, and they're all probably half the size of a tennis court, and they all have cover. And if you can keep trespassers off, The idea is some of them are never hunted, or you hunt them, up to 2 or 3 times a year at the most. And it keeps the pressure down, because putting a food plot in the middle of a road frontage or right in the field as a magnet for a deer to come into in the PM in the afternoon, it's not going to help you. That's why it's important. It's still hard work, but the price of this, the cost of this to put this together, isn't even the cost of one implement for my tractor. So I'd still use my tractor, but for serious food plotting, you can't do it with a tractor in the Northeast, in my opinion, or where you got to have a thick understory for whitetail deer. Maybe in states where it's all open crops, but I don't know how you'd compete with ag there. So there's corn and soybeans all over here, but the corn and soybeans isn't in cover. Right here it's so thick you can't even walk through. I had to have a forestry mulcher come so you could get a quad through. It takes a lot of lime. That's a 50-pound bag just right there, or 40-pound bag of lime. Right there, pulverized. So all these leaves and stuff, the soil's got such a low pH. It'd be hard to make brassicas grow. I got other spots brassicas will grow, but they're usually brassicas and winter rye. So winter rye will grow on top of the leaves even. What it won't do is when all these green leaves fall down in the fall on top of the winter rye, it smothers it. So you got to go out there during hunting season with a leaf blower, blow all the leaves off the winter rye, and then you got to keep seeding it, because if it's above 33 degrees, winter rye will germinate, and you want it thick like your lawn, and it's graze tolerant, so they could graze and graze and graze on it. And there's a little bit of green there, but I sprayed that with Roundup glyphosate, so it's gonna die anyways. I just sprayed it 2 days ago. It takes quite I like to give it a week or two to kill everything, because you think the glyphosate didn't work. It just, if you come back, everything will be that you sprayed will be dead for sure. So that's good. I put the winter rye on here, right on top, and that's fine. You could put it right on top after you sprayed, that's fine. So it's not gonna hurt it. It's only gonna hurt things that are green. You're gonna make sure your arrow is pointed backwards, and you're gonna put it right in, and if it's set too low, you'll know, because your quad won't go. Set it super high. You don't need to set real low. You're just trying to tear up the ground. You're trying to do it one-handed. I gotta shut this off a minute. And there you go. And that might even be setting too low. You want to make sure, if you got to put it in a four-wheel drive to go, you probably got it too low. A 4x4 works great. Treated lumber, which is not technically 4 inches. For these, they're cheap boards for SUVs. I would say they're pretty bad for SUVs. They're only like $40 boards from Amazon. I wouldn't want to go to Baja with it with my SUV or my truck, but for a quad, they're a lot lighter than a 4x4, and they could help you get unstuck too. And I've been carrying these instead of the 4x4 piece of wood treated lumber. So you don't want to get a 4x6 or 6x6, and because your groundhog max is going to be way too low. My daughter and I took out about 3,500 pounds of pulverized lime on this one parcel this year alone. It doesn't show the glyphosate because it was just sprayed a couple days before, but you want to do glyphosate, and then you can put 2,4-D in it too, and then your pulverized lime goes right on top, and then you're going to want to put your winter rye right on top. Just don't use 2,4-D with brassicas unless you let the 2,4-D sit for a couple weeks. But yeah, put the winter rye right on top of all of it. So this is kind of hard ground. So I'll do, took that groundhog max, and what I'll do, I'll spray with that quad. Probably only take 5 gallons, but I could carry up to 30. There's one 5-gallon module on there, but I'll spray this. I'll come back in a week or 2 weeks with that groundhog max. It'll tear this right apart. So if you get onto hard ground and you think the groundhog max doesn't work, just spray. And even when we take a rototiller to this plot, a tiller on a big tractor, you know, like 50, 75 horsepower tractor, there's still all weed debris, everything else. So you gotta spray. You gotta get rid of the weeds. If you don't want to spray, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, unless you're going to do raised beds or something like that, you know. So for the suburban people, they would say you don't need to spray, but in real life, unless you're going to do raised beds, you got to spray. And once you spray, that groundhog max will work perfect. And on most soils, you don't even need to worry. I just did a food plot 1/8 of a mile away, and I did the same thing, and it's, you know, turned it right to dirt. And then no matter what, you always run out of daylight. So if you want to use a tractor and just make one food plot, you could do that, I don't know, in a half hour, you know. But if you want to have hidden food plots and everything else, it takes a lot of elbow greasing with the right gear. So this quad fits on an 8-foot box, and wherever this pickup truck will go, I could take the quad, and then obviously the quad will go off-road further than the pickup truck, but you don't need to bring around a trailer. You know, anytime you trailer a tractor in, you're not going to get very far in. And then you can only go as far as the tractor. So beautiful night out here. I thought I had the camera on reverse. Sorry, it's pitch black. Hope you all have a good night. So here I got the quad as far as I could go. I got this matlock. This is more important than that Mantis tiller I got. And a little bag seeder. And then, don't look like much, but this here you'll be up to your, it's like quicksand, quick mud, certain times of year. Yeah, certain times, it's just going to tell you this time of year it's safe, but I'm starting to wonder if I should put the phone down. Certain times of year come up to your waist, like quicksand. Right now it's pretty dry, but you get a quad buried out here. And this matlock and winter rye, you like getting brassicas growing too, but on this in this plot, I got about 20 some plots on this parcel. Just a lot of elbow grease, back breaking work on this plot. Winter rye is all it's gonna grow, you know. Looks like a lot of lime, but you can never have enough lime. And shot a nice 8-pointer out of that. Don't look too high. That's 26 feet high for a ladder stand. That's awfully high to set and take down. It's crazy setting it and taking it down. Climbing it's not bad. But all right, I'm going to go get to work. Here you can just carry your hip waders and swap out your boots and your spreader. And there you can see it's compact. You don't want to be towing around a disc or towing around anything, you know. And if you look there, that's already been sprayed with glyphosate for a 5.5 gallon jug I carried out there. And then I hit it with the matlock. There I got a machete. The quad could only get so far. And then if we had $1 for every bag of 40-pound bag of pulverized lime we carried out in the middle of the woods. It's back-breaking work. And I did get some egg lime on that picture there. This parcel here, I got egg lime out there before, but we ran a lot of egg lime this year. My daughter did probably 8,000 pounds of lime with me. She spread. So it's back-breaking work to just, you know, go out there and hunt the same tree stand every day. How you hunt is important. If you do all this work, you know, hunt strategically. Don't go burn out all your stands, and don't let your friends and family just go sit in the stands because they're your friend. You know, it's nothing personal. Just they'd never understand unless they, you know, did the work and paid the money. They just kind of show up. It's kind of like the toilet in our house. It stops working, and nobody really knows if it's running or how it works or anything, but I'll be out there fixing it, you know, and they'll just go use the toilet without even thinking about it, you know. Or if you're in a hotel, you got a maid, everything else. You just don't think about these things, but somebody somewhere has got to spread 8,000 pounds of lime and do all this stuff and pick up these parcels. They were just spreading it out like that, and you just hate to have all this money and especially time, manual labor to go to waste, because even with the best equipment, it's still a lot of manual labor. And if you can advance your age class, your deer to just 1 year in New York State or Michigan, there's a couple of nice bucks right there. And that's actually winter rye. It doesn't show up so good, but the winter rye will pop so quick. So here I sprayed 2,4-D. I was gonna throw my seed, but I forgot. I just sprayed 2,4-D. It was 9 days ago. I don't know. So anyhow, this is nice. I've been to air conditioning. I got a tiller, you know, 8-foot set or maybe 7-foot tiller. You know, my implement, my tiller probably costs more than the quad and that food plot ATV contraption that I built. So if you build one with a modular sprayer, not a 15-gallon sprayer, not a 25-gallon sprayer, but a modular sprayer, you know, 5 to 35 gallons, those 5.5-gallon jugs, using those 5.5-gallon jugs. That's the way to go, because this tractor, I'm going to spend all day making all these food plots, you know, 20 or 30 food plots like this. So it's hard, you shouldn't be hunting over the food. But when you got 20 or 30 food plots with cover near it, it's a big difference. At the same time, this is not the most security cover. You know, look how thick it is right here. I had to have a forestry mulcher coming here, but what I'm saying is, where you really have security cover, you need to use the quad. You can't use a tractor. You can't bring a tractor through the middle of the woods so good, especially with glass in the cab. But even without a cab, even with just ROPS, you can't bring a tractor into the swamp. Whereas with that quad, I can get it unstuck. I would say even with a air ride seat and air conditioning, you spend 12 hours in that tractor, you won't even be able to feel your back, you know. But that deer right there is eating winter rye. That winter rye is already popped. You can't see the lime anymore or anything. Everything's died out, and the winter rye pops so quick. And then that field there was tilled. There's a picture of Seedway in Syracuse, New York. It's the best place to go to get your large seed. And then that field there, it did glyphosate out, which I was saying earlier when I was running that Groundhog Max. And then see how green that is? You go from just putting glyphosate, 2,4-D as well, I put on there if I'm going to run winter rye, mix them together, 2,4-D and glyphosate. You put your lime right on top because it's going to be too small to get a Groundhog Max. And then the winter rye will grow right on top of the lime, or it'll grow on top of the leaves. It just won't grow when the leaves fall. That's from the Groundhog Max doing job.
Well, here I'm spreading oats with a spreader on the front, and I'm spraying liquid lime at the same time. The liquid lime is really good because with these 5-gallon, or I should say these 5-gallon modules are really good with the liquid lime because you can shake them up. You can turn the spreader off. You could shake up the lime, the modules, the 5-gallon, 5.5-gallon modules. You could shake them mix the lime out. You can dump your lime. It'll spray with this pump we have. It'll spray the thickest materials. Shut that spreader off. And you can run the lime really thick in these because you can shake them up like a milkshake and put them in there. And this pump will get it done. There's only a filter at the bottom, and there's not a bunch of things. There's nothing cutting your back, you know, like a lot of your 25 gallon or 15 gallon sprayers. You got your pump here cutting your back. You got glyphosate, you got problems here, you undo it, you got glyphosate all over you. It just, a lot of the sprayers, or none of the sprayers make any sense to me. Once you go with something like this, you'll never go back. You know, so this nozzle, I get about 13 feet, and with the lime, I get about 10 to 12 feet, which is perfect. So, I wouldn't go back to a 15 gallon sprayer, I promise you that. And then I could do so many food plots. If you're doing fertilizer, right here, fertilizer, rye, winter rye, oats, you're gonna want to use this. And then brassicas, obviously those are so small you never want to put them in here. Other than brassicas or clover, all your winter wheat, winter rye, winter oats, peas, beans, fertilizer, pelletized lime, you can run here. But it's nice to run the pelletized lime in the liquid lime. It's nice to be able to use these in combination like this. It just changes everything. You can get your food plots done. If it took you 2 weeks of hardcore manual labor, you could do it in a couple days. So hope that helps somebody. I try to do this with one hand, so when you run out, you just unscrew this hose inside a hose. Screw this one. There you go. Take this out. So you always got to run 5 gallons. You could run a 5 gallon gasoline fuel. You know, not through the pump, but for backup. You can't pump it through the pump, the gasoline through the pump, but you can, when you're done with your sprayer, you still got these compartments where you can run 5 gallon buckets or 7 gallon buckets, and you could put this with gasoline here for backup if you wanted. So basically these two go away when you're done spraying. You don't have to go change your sprayer, do all that. What a pain. You just take these two away. And nice thing, you can handle them. So you can dump out your glyphosate. You can, if you have a problem or a clog, it's so simple of a system that you just, and then you open this one here, this breather here, so it can get some air so it don't suck down your jugs there. And then if I needed more water, I got the pump, and I can run my chainsaw. I can run whatever I need to run in here. I could put in here. I got these ramps for my Groundhog Max, and then they serve two purposes. Instead of carrying around 4x4 piece of wood, 4x4 treated lumber, just be real light, and they could actually get me unstuck if I needed to. And they just right here, secured here. Yep. So I got some residual winter oats. I'm gonna
spread them. I'll turn that spreader on as I run this. And here we go. He's running. And there you go. There it is. Actually, that is closer to 13 feet, even on the liquid lime. You can run the liquid lime really thick with this system because it's just one inlet and one output with the pump. And I like to set like this. And overseeded the oats right there, but that's okay. I got all the seed in, so I wanted to get in, so I'm just gonna lay these oats down. I already got oats and rye here, and crimson clover, you got to spread that by hand because the seed's so small. But anything that's not clover or brassica, you know, spread in your front hopper there, your front spreader. You can see the liquid lime doing its job. I'm doing two things at once right now. I'm sowing my oat seed, and I'm running liquid lime, and I'm running over the seed like a cultipacker with my tires. And I got a yard roller that I really like, but I just sheared the metal piece right off it in another food plot, and I left it there. I'll go pick that up with my tractor. But don't underestimate a yard roller. You don't gotta spend a bunch of money on a cultipacker. Nice little 3 or 4 foot yard roller does really good on these food plots. And then on some of the real remote areas, I can't use a yard roller because I'm going through the swamp. So in those areas, the best thing is your jet sled that I showed you how to run on the back. Run your jet sled, and if you got 5 bags of seed, that's 250 pounds, and your jet sled will mash these seeds right into the dirt, just with your plastic jet sled. If you get stuck in the swamp or whatever, you need to go in reverse, you just uncouple your jet sled and move it by hand. So, like I say, I hope this helps somebody. It's still back-breaking work, but I could do more food plots in a month than most people could do in their lifetime with this system. I could do more food plots in a month with this system anywhere, in the swamp, anywhere, than I could do with my 75 horsepower tractor. And then when I'm done with it, the rest of the season, I can carry all my things in the quad because it's a modular based system where you get rid of all the 5-gallon jugs but one. And like you say, the 1 5-gallon jug, you can make it for fuel backup. Just don't run it through your pump. The gasoline, don't do that. So you can fit a lot of things in a compact space. And this quad will fit in an 8-foot truck bed with the tailgate shut. The sprayer nozzle just barely hangs over the tailgate. Better shut this off. There it goes. And there you go. I'm wasting my expensive liquid lime, but look how good that this spraying system sprays it. And all you want is 1 gallon per minute. You don't want to recirculate it back in there. You don't want a bunch of pumps and filters and 5 ways to Sunday. You want a robust pump. You don't want a pump that you're always messing with. I bought so many commercial, real expensive 15-gallon and 25-gallon sprayers, boomless, both boomless and with a boom. And all they do is cause headaches. They leak, they clog. They have so many valves that want to leak all the time. They dig into your back, most of them. You just want 1 gallon per minute. And then of course the other pump's there, so if you want to get water from any water source, you can pump them into your 5-gallon jugs. And then up front, you can fit more 5 gallon jugs. So really, you could fit 30 gallons. Well, these are 5.5 gallons, so you can fit more than 30 gallons. So you can fit 3 up here and 3 back here. So when you're in a real remote location, or if you have water, you can just take your 3 jugs and then go get more water with the water pump. But both these pumps have one input and one output, and that's very important. Both pumps, they only have one input and one output, and there's no nonsense in there. And for doing food plots, 1 gallon per minute is perfect. If you're doing I have 4 gallon pump. I even had a 6.5 gallon per minute pump. If you're doing 4.5 gallons per minute, you better be driving really fast. There's just no way. So 1 gallon per minute, robust pump, a robust 1 gallon per minute pump is all you need. It's the best thing you can use for food plotting. So on your pumps, I was saying earlier, if you have a 4.5 gallon per minute pump, you'd have to drive really fast, and guys are going to comment that you just you can adjust that, and you can, but the only thing you're doing is you're recirculating the fluid. It has multiple valves. Any of those pumps like that have multiple valves. You're just recirculating the fluid back into your tank, which sounds good because you're mixing up your fluid, whatever you're spraying. 2,4-D, glyphosate, fertilizer, liquid lime like I'm spraying now, whatever. But it causes a lot of problems because it's all those valves to fail, more valves to fail, and leak all over you. And they're in your, most of these products are right here in your lower back, digging into and spraying glyphosate or 2,4-D or clefidem right on all over your body, and you're always messing with them. Like I say, everything should be in the back, not in your back and all over your body. It should be back here. And that's how this is set up with all the pumps. Even the clean water pump. Everything, if anything's leaking, it's leaking back here. It's not leaking right here on you, it's spraying on you. And when you get I call this a garbage pump because this will pump garbage. It'll pump anything. And when you get a real expensive, like, no offense to Femco or anything, but get a real expensive Femco pump with all these valves and nozzles and quick connects, plastic quick connects, get ready to chase around leaks or have it dig into your back and whatnot. So you could build one of these things, and you don't need a tractor to do food plots. If you're doing food plots with a tractor, I don't see how you're going to attract mature deer in Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania. I just don't see it happening. I'm sure in the fantasy land states, I'm sure, but you need an understory, you need cover, you need places where people aren't willing to go. And so my last thing in the chain of food plotting, I guess, is this Matlock axe, which I dig into the ground with, where I can only get the quad within 100 or 200 yards of where I want to do food plotting, and I could do it, with that. And I don't need a backpack sprayer because I have these. I can take these 5 gallon jugs out. It's not ideal, but I can take these 5 gallon jugs out, and I can basically put a food plot. If I got to put hip waders or chest waders on, I can still go out to an island and put a food plot on there and not carry it all out. The
ATV does all the work carrying it out for me at least. So that's an extreme. And then obviously this four-wheeler will go where no tractor will go, with cover and understory, you know, security cover for deer. I'm running this liquid lime, so I just want to say about liquid lime replacing egg lime or pelletized lime, powdered lime. For the long term, these plots have with the jet sled in the ATV, I brought out 40-pound bags of lime. And then in other areas where I can get my tractor, I had a dump truck come of lime, egg lime, with my loader bucket. But a lot of spots the tractor obviously won't get to. And so for the long term, the liquid lime's not gonna do it. And nothing in a bottle is gonna really do it. It's not gonna replace what we're doing. But it sure is nice to have the peace of mind for each parcel to spend 50 or 60 bucks for one gallon of this super concentrated liquid lime. I mean, it's super concentrated. You can buy 5 gallons of somebody else's stuff, and this is that 3 cal from John at Northwoods Whitetail Food Plots. It's so thick that little 1 gallon will make a lot of liquid lime for you. And to me, it's worth spending 50 to 60 bucks per parcel on liquid lime, and I get to run back over the seeds with my tires, and I get to spray instead of just spraying water on the seeds. It's nice to be spraying liquid lime and liquid fertilizer too. And most pumps won't spray it, but this one will. And here you can see a total failure. I failed to open this, and the pump was still spraying. So you got to open this breather. Here, you listen. Hear that? There she goes. So it collapsed the jug and everything, and it still sprayed this pump. That's why I call it the garbage pump. It'll spray anything. You don't have to worry about removing any filters. The only filter is on the end of this hose. There's a filter on the end of this hose down inside the jug. And there's no drain in these jugs. There's no drain hole to leak or anything like that, or drain plug. You just dump them out. You can handle them. They're 5.5 gallons a piece. So you could do everything wrong with the liquid lime in this pump and these 5 gallon jugs. It'll still spray them. I didn't want to waste the money, but I thought about just dumping the gallon of liquid lime, the whole gallon in there without any water. I bet you this pump would spray it, and it wouldn't even struggle with it. And that stuff is so thick, it's to me, it's way thicker than a malted milkshake. It's really thick. And this pump in this system with these 5.5 gallon jugs is so good that that's why I call it a garbage pump. It'll spray it. Here's a perfect place for the Groundhog Max. I put Seclusion 360 down. It's just not just, but it's chicory and clover, and I cut it with winter rye. I might put winter oats in here too, but I don't think so. I just cut it with winter rye, I think. Maybe some oats too. But the main idea is I'm going to come back and frost seed this with that chicory and clover again. And that Groundhog Max, the tip here is the Groundhog Max works great for this. I could run my tractor up here too, no problem, sit in the air conditioning, but I could blow down here with my four-wheeler with a Groundhog Max and do it before I could even drive my tractor, you know, a couple hundred yards, you know, with the speed you could ride a quad. But it's a circle. Anything that's a circle, the Groundhog Max excels at. Circles, figure eights, and it'll do a whole food plot. But the deer don't care. In fact, I think the deer like it better if you got a circle with your own screen here. And yeah, a lot of this will die down in the winter, but this screen was free. It was already here. So anytime you can do your food plots in a circle, or a regular shape or figure eight with that groundhog max in the middle of the woods, it's a win-win. And I got kind of a built-in screen here, and you're not wasting any energy or time backing up with your groundhog max or anything. You're just going in a circle. Not that you can't, you can back up with a groundhog max, but groundhog max in this, I think you're looking at 5 minutes. And then right now I'm just gonna spray it. See that? Huh. My videography skills are very bad. Technology. So like, see that on button? Now I'm gonna spray it. I like to sit like this, but if you're gonna sit like this, turn the way you're sitting so you don't flip your quad over. I got the throttle on this side, my weight's inside, so I'm leaning on the quad so I don't flip the quad over. I hope that helps somebody. Don't run a lot of clover, but right here it makes sense to just put the clover up and seclusion 360, chicory, and leave it. So you can always, this is just liquid lime. It seems like when you got a 15 gallon or 25 gallon sprayer, you can never get it emptied out. You never know what's left in there. With these, you know. You can dump it out, and I can rinse it out again, dump it out, and easily handle it. Put the tops on, shake them up, and 3 of these, and you got a 15 gallon sprayer. 6 of these, you got a 30 gallon sprayer. So I flushed this out several times. It's just water. But you can see we put a tape measure on it, and with a tape on it, sprays 13 feet. There's no nozzle to change, no like Primco nozzle that you unscrew and screw on. It just goes and hits this brass piece, forces it out to the side, which is awesome for food plotting. Got my windshield on here, this piece of plexiglass. Help a little bit. Kids are running the quads around, and I'll show you, this thing's heavy, this boom. This is a 10-foot boom. And for food plotting, I don't know. I just don't think it's... This is a 10-foot boom here. Took that all apart. And these nozzles, you get clogged up. You got to take them off, put them on, mess around with them. And it's pretty heavy, actually. And for food plotting, there's no reason for it. Yeah, I'm letting her clean out all that liquid lime. Okay, here's the before, and then we'll see the after. And then there's the after. Look at that. This will show the field to swamp system. You can see the timestamp there, and that's just glyphosate, and then pulverized lime, and then winter rye right on top of it. This is gonna be hard to see because it's all green there. I don't have a picture in between, but that's actually winter rye growing right down in there too. And you'll see it here. You'll see glyphosate, put the lime on top, and then winter rye. And then once you do glyphosate once, don't keep doing it. And the pulverized lime, if you put a bag down on one of these half-size tennis court areas, it helps to kill everything with the glyphosate too, because it'll shade it out. There's a deer wick and snack the guy left in the tree stand. So I'll give you a tip about that coming up with these plastic posted signs. They're not printed or anything. They're just plastic. Yeah, I just want to shout out Serious Signs in Depew, New York. Serious Signs, all plastic molded.
24-hour video surveillance and up to 15 days in jail. And that way, when I get pictures of them and a DEC officer comes, they said they didn't know. You know, so when you got trespassers going and looking for a blood trail deer, that's different. It's not good, but that's different than them sitting in your tree stand. So this is actually a bush. I forget it. I looked it up before. It's not a tree. I don't like heights, but I'll go up very high as I got to go. But this is the lowest tree stand you ever saw. But put in the comments if you know what kind of shrub. This is a shrub. It's got a fruit on it. I don't see it right now. But anyways, or if you think I'm wrong, if this is a tree, tell me it's a tree. I told my wife it's a tree, but she looked it up and it appears to be a bush. But a lot of scrub brush on this parcel. So rye's doing good right here, popping up, and then that whole circle is brassicas. And I got, it's gonna be great for gun season. And I got a guy that comes out. We only hunt with bows and arrows. I don't go on this parcel during firearm season. The guy gives me a couple grand, and that doesn't even pay for, like, that just barely pay for the posted signs and the batteries, and won't even pay for the seed or whatever. But it helps. It helps so that we can keep going, because once you start collecting parcels, you got to pay property tax. And the best thing to do is not own property in New York State. Go to a state where they treat you good. And you're not paying, tens of thousands of dollars in property tax. But if you want to make money off your land, you find somebody that's willing to pay you and you rent it out for them for a couple weeks during firearm season. But you got to have another parcel to go to, which we do. I could never, do this before. And you just keep building it up like that. And you got to sacrifice. You got to be able to sell off your land, parts of your land, subdivide it, try to rent out parts of it. Try to get assets on it, and that's the only way you're going to be able to keep up with a property tax. But these brassicas will be great for when they come in for firearm season. And this little stand here is really low, but it'll be great for them for firearm season. And then, as time goes on, this will be a great spot to put an elevated blind, obviously, once I save up the money. But yeah, I just want to shout these guys out again. Serious Signs, they make the best posted signs in the world. There's nothing like them. They make them right in New York, which is still the United States. So they make them in the United States. So support them guys, and support yourself by not having to go mess with your posted signs all the time, because these will not weather. The ink will not go away. They're good for a long time. And when you put these on a tree, you're going to screw them in and leave the screw sticking way out, so as the tree grows, it doesn't smash and crush your posted sign. Hope that helps somebody with either trespassing or posted signs. Or this is more lined up for when I call the DEC. We try to get this guy in jail this time instead of a fine. So I got this just set up right here, just this ladder stand. It's nice to just come in here early season and shoot a doe. You're not going to shoot a mature deer in New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania set up like this. But it's better to take your does right here instead of in there where it's all thick, where you're trying to kill a mature buck. And it's better to shoot the does than shoot crotch horns, spike horns, basket rack, 8-pointers, because they're all yearlings. And I think a lot of people, or a lot of social norms or families of hunters believe those deer have bad genetics, but in New York, Pennsylvania, those deer are yearlings. They're not, just a lot of ignorance. So everybody goes around, if they have a rule, they're only going to shoot bucks, and they're all shooting all the spike horns and crotch horns and every buck they could find, but let the does go so you have more deer. It's just kind of ignorance in action. So start shooting the does and let the crotch horns, spike horns, 6-pointers, 8-pointers that are yearlings go. Because in New York, if you can get the deer to 2.5 years old, those are 8-pointers with a rack outside their ears usually. So other states, you know, like the Fantasyland states, Dreamland states, Kansas, Iowa, Illinois. Um, the age class is not a problem. You know, you can have deer in a whole different age class, but in New York, if you can just advance your bucks to 2.5 years old, which is not easy, by the way, but if you could do that, you're way ahead of the game. If you get really good at food plotting and how you hunt, in other words, hunt here in the beginning of the hunting season, don't hunt in your best tree stands. Hunt here, kill some does here. Then you can hold those big bucks and advance them to, or you can hold little bucks and advance them to next season where they're 2.5 years old. So if you're in New York or Pennsylvania, Michigan, and you're advancing the deer to 3.5, 4.5 years old, you're doing a really good job food plotting. And I would say it's not one big food plot for the afternoons. It's that you're hunting on. Obviously, that's all a mistake. It's hundreds of food plots. I got just under 100 food plots on 4 parcels. So pretty much 25 food plots per parcels, all in security cover. Other than right here, there's some security cover around here, but this goes out to a field. So this is just a little spot where there's a ton of deer population, and a great place to shoot a doe in the beginning, because in the beginning of the hunting season, unless there's a nice, 2.5-year-old buck, which sounds like a baby, but in New York, that's a good age. 2.5-year-old buck, 8-pointer with their rack outside their ears on the camera every day. At the same time, I won't be hunting in any of those spots until later. So you got to have a lot of spots to go burn out and save your best spots for later. This is a great spot to burn out the first couple weeks of hunting season. And I glyphosate the trail, and I brush hog a trail right from the highway so I can get good access. But when the sun goes down, this is going to blow out some deer when I go out of here. So it's just a great spot to harvest a couple does with your deer management permits. That way you're not harvesting does where you're trying to be in security cover and where you're trying to kill a more mature buck and blowing out deer like crazy in your best spots. Save those, and then keep the neighbors off them, keep your family off them, keep everybody off them. Because if you're sitting in this tree stand to burn this tree stand up for the first couple weeks of bow hunting season, and somebody's over in the tree stands that you think are vacant, and somebody's just climbing up your tree stand, which takes a lot of guts, what people do for some reason, you got to put them in jail for 15 days. And it's a big difference if they shoot a deer and it goes on your property. But if they're sitting in your tree stand, why are you sitting here and doing manual labor all summer? And if you look at Whitetail Habitat Solutions, he always calls out videos, July chores, August chores, and they're chores. The hardest part of hunting and food plotting is back-breaking work. Even with that quad or air-conditioned tractor, if you got an air-conditioned tractor and you make one food plot every year, yeah, that's not back-breaking work, but you're not going to get anything out of it other than pressuring the crap out of the deer. So it's important for the system to work. You keep out of your best tree stands and your best trees that you have pegged out. If you're saddle hunting, I got one parcel, it's 40 acres. I got to take a canoe. So all those have pegs in them, and I saddle hunt out of those. But these where I can get a stand and save up the money, get the stands and cameras and solar power and things like that, where you never have to intrude other than leaf blowing to replenish your food plots, to get the leaves off it, because the leaves will smother this, when they fall. So you got to leaf blow them off. That's the secret to it. Even out here when I'm not in the woods completely, but that's the secret to it. But other than that, you cannot be sitting in your tree stands. You can't have your nephew out there sitting in your tree stands. It's not going to work. It's not going to help your nephew. You can't have a trespasser sitting out in there after you did all this. You don't even know the person. They just go trespass on your property. It will not work. All this manual labor you do all summer, back-breaking work and money, lots of money. I mean, hunting is not cheap. It's all for nothing because it won't work. And if you do it, if I'm out there sitting in my best tree stands the first couple weeks of bow hunting, I've already ruined my hunting season before it even starts. At least on this parcel. You could blow out a parcel and ruin a parcel so quickly. So this is a great spot to do early season hunting, and I brought this tree stand out with that sled there on the jet sled on the quad. Really quick, just to clarify something, if you're shooting crotch horns or spike horns, that's great. I'll do that too on certain parcels or in certain programs, and that's awesome. But the point is that if you're doing all this manual labor, even when you're set up to be really efficient and doing this field to swamp setup where you get rid of all your sprayer tanks and just go to the 5.5 gallon jugs and the nozzle there's no nozzle there, just a hose that hits a piece of metal, you know, a boominator type nozzle, and you put the spreader on and you're going full bore putting in food plots quicker than anything else I could think of, and you know, with your Groundhog Max, and you're putting all this manual labor into it, and then you go and shoot the spike horns and the crotch horns and the basket rack 8-pointers instead of the does and let the does walk. The point is, in states like Michigan, New York, not so much Pennsylvania because they have a point restriction, but so that helps the age class a little bit. But in Michigan, New York, if you do this field to swamp food plotting system with your ATV and this food plotting program, in Michigan, New York, states like that, it will pay off for you with huge dividends if you shoot a doe instead of a crotch horn or a spike horn. Because in Michigan, New York, if you can hold those yearling bucks, 1.5-year-old bucks, the goal is not very high. You're just trying to get them to 2.5 years old. So in one season, in 1 year, in states like Michigan, New York, you could enjoy a whole different age class of bucks, especially if the tradition in your family is that we're not shooting any does and we're only shooting bucks. And everybody's going showing how they just shot, you know, a 6-point, you know, 6-year-old buck, when we know that's a yearling. And most of the bucks killed in Michigan, New York, they're yearlings. Used to be Pennsylvania too, but they put a point restriction. But not so much points, but you could tell, you know, if you got a yearling or not. And most of the bucks that everybody is killing in New York State, and the majority of the people are saying, look at this 3.5-year-old buck that I killed. You know, it's a 5-pointer. And they might say, well, I shot it because it has a funny rack on its left side. And I shot it because it's, you know, an old decrepit deer. They're all yearlings. So if you bust your butt and you do your food plotting, not just one magnet food plot, it's okay to have that too for defined movement. But if you bust your butt and you have a bunch of hidden food plots with security cover and a false sense of security for those young bucks, even in 1 year, you can advance your age class to 2.5-year-old deer. And I know I started doing this in 1 year later. Nothing to write home about, right? If you're going to Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, but you know, for New York or Michigan, after 1 year, the next season you should have a bunch of deer, you know, that are 8-pointers with a rack outside their ears, and they're just 2.5-year-old deer. And so it's so powerful. It's such a powerful system. But the lowest hole in the bucket is you. And if you are disciplined and you do all these things, but you have trespassers coming in and sitting on your property, or you have your friends and family just going out sitting willy-nilly, and they're not the ones out there doing the manual labor all summer and spending thousands of dollars.
on this, because even to run a $20 bag of winter rye gets expensive and time consuming, then it's not going to help you, because if you control your behavior, but everybody else is doing whatever they want, or even worse, they're telling you where you could sit on your land and where their areas are and what they're doing. You got to get around positive people, and you got to get away from negative people. And if people are just ignorant, that's one thing. But if they're just negative people, and they've always been negative people, they're going to be negative. And so you don't need to go out there and spend half your annual salary on property taxes and go out there and work, 40 to 60 hour weeks in addition to your day job, running food plots and travel corridors and hiring forestry mulchers and picking up more property. You don't need to do all that to have somebody else tell you what the rules are on your land. If you don't take control of your land in New York, Michigan especially, that's where there's the most hunters. Pennsylvania too. So the biggest thing you could do for yourself is control your own land, number one. Number two, change the way you hunt. All you got to do is, instead of making the doe sacred, shoot a doe. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube, but so many pictures of coyote pups even carrying around does' heads in their mouths. And the coyotes, they don't really discriminate. They kill more deer than we could dream of. And the governor in New York State just protected coyotes, because instead of being able to hunt coyotes 365 days a year, like in almost every state, now we decided to give coyotes a break. And you can't have coyote tournaments anymore. They made that illegal last year too. So if you want to do anything about having more deer, don't worry about the does, worry about the coyotes, and start trapping and killing the coyotes. And if you see a doe, shoot the doe. And if you're waiting to shoot a 5.5-year-old deer in Michigan, and there's no 5.5-year-old deer in Michigan right there within so many square miles of where you're at, you're not going to harvest anything. So you got to go for the age class where you're at. And if you can get to a 2.5-year-old age class in Michigan, New York, imagine what you could do in other states. But you won't notice the difference in Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Illinois so much, because you already have the age class. But you could notice the difference in New York, Michigan, even Pennsylvania in one season. That's very powerful, very powerful and life-changing. I think right now I'm looking at it's either 13 or 14 8-pointers, and people say, wow, that's 6-year-old deer in New York, and it's not. It's a 2.5-year-old deer. And that means if you give them serenity and security, and you're not bumping them out on opening day of firearm season or Thanksgiving, maybe you could start getting up to a 3.5-year-old age class and doing that. But we can all get to 2.5-year-old age class, 8-point rack outside of Sears. And yeah, maybe it's only 100-inch deer, and maybe it's small potatoes to a lot of states, but in a state like New York or Michigan, even Pennsylvania, this is very powerful for people. So give it a try. Field to swamp, food plotting, and they're all small, where the rye's not stemming out. And run the chicory, run the clover, run the seclusion 360, run these things. And it is hard work, but once you get them up and going, it's half the battle. Half the battle is clearing a little half a tennis court size piece where it's super thick, all thick saplings and everything else. That's half the battle. If you could do that, that's a lot of manual labor. Don't do all that and then have somebody go on your property. Let them go shoot the spike horns and crotch horns on their property, and let them have let the does walk. If you see a doe with 2 fawns, that's a great doe to take, because the fawns are going to be okay, and those fawns are going to stay there a good chance, or that buck will stay there because the does are going to push them away. So you didn't just shoot a fawn on accident if you got a fawn and a doe. And by that time, the fawn's 6 months, the doe might be 1.5 years. But in New York, we got some does that are old,
because the culture is, in a lot of circles, don't ever shoot the doe so we have more deer. And that's a real ignorant approach if you want to do, unless you want to do food plotting to shoot spike horns, which I'm not interested in doing that. I could shoot spike horns by myself, and let's celebrate shooting spike horns too. So that's why I'm making this, putting this part into the video. If you're out there shooting spike horns with a crossbow or with an ASL longbow, great, that's awesome. You know, I'm not taking away from that whatsoever. Celebrate that. And if your neighbor shoots one, go celebrate them for shooting it and harvesting it. Just to harvest a deer, you know, in some states is a big task, you know. And then other states where you see the guys on the outdoor channel doing jumping jacks and just whispering. I don't know how people whisper even on the YouTube channels and then shoot a deer, you know, because I promise you the deer in Michigan and deer in New York and deer in Pennsylvania, they're not going to tolerate anything, any movement or smell or sound. They're just not going to tolerate that. So if you can kill a spike horn in New York State or Michigan, you're an awesome hunter. This is just taking it to the next level for you, and it's so easy because you can do it in one season.
This windshield is just a piece of plexiglass, but it's so convenient for all the little gnats and mosquitoes in your eyes, and it's smaller. You know, you want it to be pretty small, so you just get your head behind it so you can also look to the side of it and everything else. Got rabbits all the way. So you think they'd figure out it's posted, you know, with all the cameras and stuff. But yeah, if you can control the people, you can control the age class of your deer.
One thing you could do too is, I like these posted signs. They're plastic. They never wear out. Put one right on your tree stand, so when the person that's sitting in your tree stand that says, "Oh, I didn't see the posted signs," or "I got permission to hunt here from somebody 25 years ago," whatever, they had to go climb past this to get up there. And I get, you know, get posted signs everywhere, because otherwise your food plotting work and all your backbreaking work and money, we're talking about thousands of dollars, even if you do it economically. By the time you do tree stands, cameras, food plotting, and that's not even with buying an expensive tractor. So you got all that time and money into it, and you did the backbreaking work, and some joker just comes, climbs up your tree stand. So sits in your tree that you're wanting to let marinate for half a month to go, you know, kill a deer. So you can get zip ties and just zip tie them right on, and check out Serious Signs in Depew, New York. You get right on there. 15 days in jail, up to 15 days in jail, and video monitored. And I guess one of the secrets I like to do, I like to run 2 Cuddy Link systems per parcel, one for the deer and one for the people. So the people are going to be pointed up high, aiming at the tree stand. And then I just remotely shut that off if I'm going to hunt that tree stand, because it's sad, but in places like Pennsylvania, New York, Michigan, you're going to deal with idiots. And I shouldn't call them idiots, but I think everybody gets what I'm saying. So if you pay property tax, you own land, and you see the guy, he's got a brand new pickup truck that you can't really afford, and they're out there trespassing on your property because your pickup truck payment's going to pay for your land. Anybody can own land. You just need to choose. Do you want a boat and a new pickup truck, or do you want land? You know, it's up to you. Do you want to go on vacation to Hawaii, or do you want land? And most of the people that are trespassing, they made the choice to drive around a brand new pickup truck, but they say, "Oh, I can't afford my own land." They can. They choose not to. Same with food plotting. Everybody says, "Oh, I could never do the food plotting like that. I just do one food plot." That's a choice. So you kind of get out of it what you put into it. It's a 21 rule I talked about before. So the rule is to put in 20 hours of work for 1 hour of hunting. So putting up tree stands, doing food plotting, making travel corridors, while paying for a forestry mulcher, running a chainsaw, going and picking up winter rye or fertilizer, putting lime down. I mean, putting lime down right there is, you're talking hundreds of hours you got to put into it, and you put all that time into it. So I hope this tip helps somebody get these serious posted signs. It's a piece of plastic and it'll sit right there. And I know some people say, well, that'll alert the deer, but the deer can see in the nighttime actually. The deer have awesome nighttime vision. They can run through the forest in the night, but the way deer see, as long as this isn't moving, they'll get acclimated to it pretty quick. No matter what anybody's gonna say, it's just hyper sensitive to movement. Do not move if you're bow hunting. Do not move at all until it's time. So put this on right here, and if you want, maybe it's not a good fit for you, but if you think this would help you, then do something like this, and hope that helps you with your trespassers. So this land would be vacant. It was vacant for years, so these people out of these houses would just go back here and go hunting, and they have trails and everything out here, and throw their garbage. Pop my truck tire, pop my tractor tire. Try replacing a tractor tire, it costs more than my car. Just throw all this crap out here and go out here. And then there's other people that stay on their property. They don't put sheds on your property, but other people go out on your property 100 yards, put sheds out on them, and they only own a quarter of an acre. They'll take up 5 acres and they'll go hunting out there. So unless I forestry mulched this path and then we posted it, and then you gotta almost serve them papers, because if you don't, they'll be out there hunting with you in your tree stand. So food plotting, if you're doing food plotting, that means you're doing backbreaking work. You gotta keep the pressure down. Well, you gotta do it with everybody, not just yourself. Keep everybody off. This is a rare situation where you get the tractor in here, and what I'll do, hopefully I don't break my glass, but I'll go through and keep going through, tilling this, and I'll walk them right out to that Seclusion 360 with that chicory, and I'll put it in here too. I'd like to shout out John Comp at Northwoods Whitetails. This is that Sweet Feast Brassica blend, and just put it in a couple of days ago. It's popping out there, and I like to run that one shot. It's got smaller brassicas in it. One shot from Seedway. Justin Bush from Seedway in Hall, New York, and Syracuse, New York. He runs that, so I run that too. And if you're in central New York, go to Seedway to get your large grain seeds. There's no sense in having a seed company shipping you 56 pound bags of winter rye or oats. I did that with John with Northwoods Whitetails. He sent me one bag of winter rye, and I put it out in the woods, and it grew and stuff. I said, boy, this stuff, it's okay. It don't really, we need a lot of bags of winter rye. You need to layer it. It needs to look like your lawn, and have them eating it down, and run your leaf blower, get the dead leaves. Like when the leaves die, all these leaves will fall on your winter rye and kill it. Well, I like to buy that large seed locally at Seedway, and go to Seedway and get a bunch of bags, and you don't pay for shipping, because the shipping is going to cost you more than the seed. Just like with flat rate priority mail with archery, the cheapest box I can get nowadays is about $12 just for the shipping. So imagine shipping 50 pound bags of winter rye around, or winter oats, or winter wheat, all those large seeds. But brassicas, go to Northwoods Whitetail and buy brassicas Sweet Feast from Northwoods Whitetail. And there's a bunch of seed companies coming out. There's a bunch of YouTubers that are now seed companies somehow, and it reminds me of the broadhead industry. The most famous YouTubers all of a sudden are seed companies. So I'm going to stick with John. I'm going to stick with Northwoods Whitetail, not somebody that's going around trying to copy them. But and your clovers, run them. Your clovers you can get from Northwoods Whitetail too, and they come, tiny seed. But the big seeds, anything in a 50-pound bag, try to get that locally. I got this on here. I had a snack up there. Last year, a guy had a snack he left up in the tree stand, forgot, and left for me. Trespasser. So yeah, people come, you do all this work food plotting, and people come sit right in your tree stand. So I got with the DEC. I tried to get them to take fingerprints. They couldn't do that at that time, but I got this all mapped out and pegged out with a DEC officer, and he knows right where to go. And I see him on the cutty links, and I call right off. We're gonna catch them. I got a reward out. You got to keep trespassers off, because I got real nice apples right there, apple tree. And look at this winter rye and oats too. I got oats in here too. Look how nice that's growing. And they'll get it thicker. If you keep putting it on thicker and thicker, keep putting it on every 2 weeks, it should look like your lawn. And if it's stemming out, that means they're not eating it. If it gets real tall, it should stay about this height. You're just trying to build it so it looks like your lawn. So keep putting the seed down. Keep putting the seed down, and it should get as thick as your lawn. And the lawnmower is the deer eating it, and they'll nip these off and eat these. If this gets tall and stems out, the deer won't eat it. If it's all short and it looks like the deer aren't eating it, the deer are eating it. The deer are eating it. They're the lawnmower. They're keeping it like this. And I'm gonna put some crimson clover in here too. I got away from annual clovers, and I know that's a mistake, because in plots like that, you can always cut that with red clover, crimson clover. Those annual clovers are awesome, and I think I think of clovers like something that you're gonna run clover one time, and you're gonna have a clover plot for years to come and not have to deal with it. No, put your clovers in with your winter rye, your winter oats, your peas, stuff like that. Put clover in there. You can put clover in with brassicas. It's just you don't want to mix your brassicas with your winter rye, with your winter oats, because I used to do a ring and a ring, and I can do it in larger plots, but in plots that size, last year in that same plot, I put brassicas ringed around the outside, and what happens is the rye will stunt them out and it'll kill them all off. So I'd say you need a traditional, like, huge food plot by road frontage, for a PM afternoon main magnet, to put it all together. So otherwise the brassicas and winter rye doesn't mix so good. But check that out. Isn't that cool? Everything's popping and growing really nice, and the hard work's over. Now you just bring out some winter rye, and I'm gonna seed it with this. There's the last of the winter rye. I've been cleaning this out, and that's in total shade in a garage with 2 windows in the garage and covered by a piece of Honda plastic. So they do great, but you can see it's starting to turn purplish, yellow. They're yellow out. Looks like more are gonna take right there. I see more seeds right there. They're gonna start to pop. But anyways, if you're gonna do food plotting out in the woods, you got to do it with winter rye, and in a worst case, it's gonna live for 2 weeks. That's the worst case. That's a lot better than over the years I tried to plant stuff in the woods for years and years and years. I remember since I was a 14-year-old kid, I spent the whole summer doing manual labor with a rake, and I don't even think I had a weed eater, and it's just impossible. And I got this no-till product, with all the fancy labels on it that they sell on the outdoor channel, and of course it didn't grow. But this winter rye, in the worst case, it'll grow for a couple weeks. In the worst case, another bad case is when it's stemming out, but that's a different story. The deer usually do not let this stem out, because you're not able to plant a football field of this winter rye. You can only plant like a half a tennis court, You're not planting a football field size plot of winter rye out there unless you got a couple forestry mulchers out there. So you're just breaking your back trying to open the canopy for like a half a tennis court is a lot of elbow grease, manual labor. Or maybe a tennis court, that's like a lot of labor you're putting into it to open up that canopy for the winter rye and open up the dirt, so with the dirt's there. So once you can get to that point, and you got your little saplings even caught with your loppers or your chainsaw, you can take your groundhog max right over top of it, as long as you can turn in a circle, and you can use that. But a lot of times I do no-till, and it's not the no-till that's all fancy right now and all over the place, which is good. If that works for you, great. I'm not trying to knock it. It's just, it's not that kind of no-till. The no-till is, which is very promoted by Jeff Sturgis too, is just you spraying, because you're not gonna make, you're not gonna have buckwheat and knock that down in half a tennis court size plot in the woods. And these are always considered kill plots, but I'm using them in a different way. Unless the cameras, the cutty links are going right to me saying that same deer's coming there every day, I may never hunt over that. It's just giving the deer a false sense of security. That's what the system does. And to get this field to swamp system to work, you really need to spray. And like I say, the powdered lime will help shade everything out, even though pulverized lime helps things grow. But you know, you can see the difference it grows. Can't always plan it out like this, but this is my last food plot. It's like a little kill plot. And by the way, if you have one food plot, you're doing it wrong. Never hunt your food plot. But if you got 40 or 50 food plots on one parcel, and you don't even ever hunt some of them, then you're doing it right, correctly. Especially where there's a lot of high deer pressure. So yeah, it's nice to have one big magnet food plot, but the main thing you need is security cover and a bunch of little food plots. Winter rye is the main staple. The other stuff is great, and I run all the other stuff too, but winter rye is the workhorse. So you should be running your winter rye, you know, where you couldn't get anything else to grow. The winter rye is going to grow, and the winter rye should be your main thing. If you can only afford one thing, get more than a 50-pound bag of winter rye. Get a bunch of 56 pounds of bags of winter rye and lime, you know, powdered lime. And this liquid lime is okay too. It's good too. I'm not saying don't run it. You should run it. You should buy some from Northwoods Whitetails there. Just buy a gallon of it. You know, you might need way more than that. You got to do a soil sample and see what you need. But, you know, if you're in a remote spot, it's not going to hurt to run a gallon of that liquid lime and winter rye. So if you have horrible soil and you can't get anywhere and you don't even have an ATV, you can still run winter rye and liquid lime in a backpack sprayer if you had to. You can run a 40-pound bag of lime out there, even though I've run thousands of pounds of them on this quad with jet sled behind it. So it's starting to downpour. There's nothing better than finishing up your food plot and having it rain. It's done the opposite of this to me for 3 weeks, and I'm wondering what I did, you know, wrong or what I did to deserve this. But at the end, God always provides, because in the end, I'm out of liquid lime here, and I'm out of food plots, and now it's downpouring. So we're very blessed to be able to go out here and get our own food. A lot of people don't even know where meat comes from anymore, it seems like. And we'll always be able to go provide for our own food, provide for ourselves, and provide for human beings through all of God's creation. So everything we ever needed is right here in the forest. God's given us everything we needed. Water and
food, animals. It's downpouring right now and rain. So when we start getting meat that's made in a laboratory, I don't want to eat it. I don't even want to eat the meat from the grocery store. This is heaven on earth right here. I'm gonna shut this off. The rain's coming down. I like to thank God for all the rain and all of God's creation. My daughter there, she's helping me and shooting her bow while she spread all that lime. There's my family helping me put up these some tree stands. And there's my wife, she's canning some venison. Yeah, we want to thank all these clients, all these buffalo hunters. There's so many pictures of buffalo hunters that I still got to get up on the web page there, and deer hunters too. And there's one of our real good clients, Dalton, with an awesome buck there. It's 600 grain scientific method, and jumbo broadhead for North America, and got several patents pending and already come on that jumbo broadhead. I really like the jumbo broadhead for North American game. Check out my free audio book, The Edge Bevel Integrity Continuum. The Edge Bevel Integrity Continuum is on this YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube, this Bishop Archery YouTube page, there you're seeing some steel-footed arrows. And they're, like I say, the Edge Bevel Integrity Continuum. This is going to be one of those videos, what not to do. So I'm going to go up there and, oh, you're not going to see what I'm doing. So, yeah, this is a video I'm probably better off not putting up on the company page here. If you already have an ATV, or maybe you're food plotting a different way, or just doing one food plot with a tractor every year, I hope this gave you some ideas, this field to swamp ATV food plotting system, and how to set up your quad. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to help you. I hope this helps somebody.